Hey everyone, it's Corey. Today's episode is a little different and honestly, what's special? We recorded this live at the Untangling Our Roots Summit, which, if you've never experienced it, it is one of those rare spaces where nobody has to explain their story because everyone already gets it. In this conversation, I had a chance to sit down with filmmaker and storyteller Lisa Brenner, whose film One Big Happy Family is inspired by her own DNA discovery at age 40. And then we opened it up to the room, which turned into something even bigger. What you're about to hear is part interview, part community, and part what happens when people who've lived this actually get to talk about it out loud. Let's get into it.
It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Corey Stoltz to the stage this morning. Corey is the co-host of the Family Twist podcast with his partner adoptee, Kendall Austin Stoltz. Corey is a career journalist, the author of books Laugh Lines and The Union of the State, and is also a board member of Right to Know. He and Kendall are the proud parents of 10 fur babies. Yes, they're nuts. Welcome, Corey.
So thank you, Debbie, for that very kind introduction and for casually exposing our home life. Yes, Kendall and I have 6 dogs and 4 cats. And at this point, it's less of a household and more unregulated sanctuary. But in a community where we talk a lot about identity, belonging, and family, fur babies matter too. Adoptive pet parents are important. 2 years ago, I walked into the summit in Denver as a supporting spouse. And I'll be honest, I felt a little like I was crashing a very meaningful, very personal party. Like, hey, I brought snacks. I just didn't get the language quite yet. But within 5 minutes, that feeling totally disappeared. Because what you create here is rare and real. This year, I don't feel like an outsider at all. I feel fully in it, and that's because of all of you. The openness, the honesty, the willingness to tell the truth, even when it's complicated, messy, or painful. What struck me most is this. Every single person here has a unique story. And somehow at the exact same time, there are these threads that connect all of them. You hear pieces of your story in someone else's, and you recognize something. You feel seen, and that matters. The only thing that's been hard this weekend is that I haven't been able to meet everyone. I haven't been able to shake every hand or give every hug. Although based on this crowd, some of those hugs would be lingering and legally binding. But every single one of you is invited to share your story on Family Twist. There are postcards out in the lobby area. And just email us, and I'll get back to you really, really quickly. Our goal isn't just to tell stories in this room. It's to get them out in the world, to reach people who don't understand this experience yet, to build empathy, to create advocates for truth, transparency, and for change. That's how this grows. Before I bring up our special guest, I do want to thank everyone who supported my fundraising over the weekend. The lap dances I provided raised $37 for scholarships. It is my absolute honor to introduce someone whose story captures so much of what we talk about here. Identity, truth, family, and finding your way through it with honesty and somehow humor. Lisa Brenner is a writer, actor, and producer whose film, One Big Happy Family, is deeply personal, inspired by her own DNA discovery at age 40. What I love about Lisa's work is that she doesn't just tell the story, she reframes it. She finds the humanity in it, the complexity, and yes, even the laughs. Welcome to the stage, Lisa Brenner. So Lisa, thank you again for sharing your story. It's a beautiful piece of film. How you got the laughs out of this is amazing. So I'm curious, what is different between what we saw in the movie and your real story?
Oh my gosh. Well, at the beginning it says it's based on a somewhat true story. And I did that because when I was writing it and when it was coming out, there were still a lot of people in my extended family who didn't know. And so I wanted to tell this story, yet I wanted to protect the innocent and I wanted to protect my mom. And it was so complicated, but it is my true story at the crux. I definitely added a lot of dramatic elements. Like my mom did not pass out from the tattoo ink. I felt like that was more symbolic of where my relationship was with her and the arguments and the fights and the hurt and all of that. So yeah, it is my story. I want to tell you guys everything. In real life, I have a brother and a sister. My sister embraced it immediately. And she wanted to go on this adventure with me. And my brother did not at all. And to this day, I have to say it's now 12 years since this happened. He still hasn't taken a DNA test. He is curious about it, but he cannot deal with it. And when I told him I was writing a movie about it, he said, I support you and I support the movie. Just leave me out of it. So my movie has a sister. There's no brother. But in the movie, my husband's a doctor. And in real life, my brother's a doctor. So that was my way. And also my brother is the musician.
How much do you know about your donor?
Well, that could be its own separate movie. And I touched upon it. So it turns out, it just in general, what I found from his, and I'm going to use the wrong terminology. He had 3 marriages with 3 birth children of those marriages. So he has 9 children of his own, biological, not donor conceived. It's so complicated. From those people, one family wants to have nothing to do with me. They said, please don't ever contact me again. 2 of the other families, one is the tattoo artist family, and then there's another family in England. From what I learned of them, he wasn't a good guy. And like really, really not a good guy. And he was an alcoholic and he was abusive and he cheated on his wife multiple times. And he moved to America to kind of leave his family, start a new life. And he went to medical school in Brooklyn. So hopefully you'll see it again, because I feel like I tried to touch on so much in like little lines here and there. But yeah, my raising father was an incredible man. And it's like, then who am I? You know, what do I take on? Do I have the genes of the cheater and all abusive person, or did I take on my dad? And so, and I struggle with that a lot. You know, what is genetic versus, what is nature versus nurture?
At what age did you explain the situation to your children, and how did they take it?
Well, me and my girls, we are just an open book. My little one was a baby at the time. The scene in the car where there are the 2 children, in real life, that was just me and my mom, and my little one was a baby at the time in her car seat when that all happened. So she grew up with this knowledge of, mom went through this crazy story. My older daughter was about 5. And so she was just aware of it. She's by my side. Let's find him, Mom. She's just part of it. It wasn't like I need to sit them down and talk. And when I met my half brother, the Bobby character, he had a son who was about my daughter's age. So they were instantly cousins and they love each other. And she's into theater and he's into theater, and it's adorable.
What's your relationship like these days with your half siblings?
So the Bobby character, we're pretty close, but it's more of a strong friendship. I can't say I feel like he's my brother, because we both found this out so late in our life, but we're very close. He texts me all the time. He's like, I need your advice, sis. We have a very nice relationship. We share this huge story. It's sad for him because his father is still alive. His raising father is still alive in real life and has dementia. And so he has lived with this truth, but he can't say anything or doesn't want to say anything. And his mother has asked him not to say anything. The tattoo artist, his sister, Denise, the one she was running off to get her degree in nursing, is one of my close friends. We play Words with Friends every single day for like about 10 years. And I met her for the first time last year in person. And what was so cool, I mean, besides we had the same curls, she looks like the Puerto Rican version of me. It's so cool. And she has blue eyes. As soon as we met, she had this soft energy to her that, like, that's how I feel about myself in the world, that it's like, oh my God, you're my people instantly, instantly. And there's just this gentleness about her that we just bonded immediately.
How did the incomparable Linda Lavin end up in your life?
Oh my goodness. Well, so this man who cuts my hair, he he was working on the CBS show that she was on, Be Positive, and he would tell me these stories about her. And I'm writing the movie, and he was said, "Oh my God, Linda, she sings jazz. She's touring the world. She was in Europe. She was 84 at the time. Incredible." And as he's talking about her, now as I'm writing the movie, now I'm picturing her. I had no connection to her, and she was very professional, that if you're going to make an offer to her, it needs to go to her agent. And it's like, oh no, I have to deal with agents. And so I wrote her a letter, and I told her in the letter that I wrote this movie as a love letter to my mom, and there's no one I want to play my mom more than you. And the next day she called me and said, "I love your script. I want to have a Zoom with you." And that was it. It was instant.
What was your rapport like on set?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was funny because I was told that Linda is a nightmare to work with. I was like terrified by her. But from our first Zoom, we're mother and daughter. Like from the second I met her, and I'm like, it's going to be a real mother-daughter relationship, just like you see in the movie. It's so much love, so much anger, so much like, you just don't understand. So it was incredible. It was a mother-daughter relationship in the truest sense of the word. She became a mentor in my life that I didn't know I needed. I always said, like, I want her career. I would just want to model my life after her. She was very into mental health. She taught me a lot of psychological terms that I had never heard of. She helped me through a lot of stuff when I was going through on set. You know, being the producer, the writer, and the actor, I was going through a lot, and she was just such a strong guiding force for me.
Is there a funny moment you remember of him being on set with Linda?
Oh my God. Well, okay, so I don't know if I should share this, but I will. It's hilarious. So we shot in Utah in pretty much all Mormon crew. And I don't know if any of you were Mormon, but you can't drink alcohol. And on day one, they gave her an assistant to, watch her. She sent her out to buy tequila. And I'm like, oh my God, Linda, you can't do that. But, yeah, but every day it was something. She was hilarious. And there were so many scenes that I ruined because I laughed too hard. Oh my God. When they opened the door with the detective, and every time she did it different, she's like, holy shit. Every time tears, laughing that I'm like, someone needs to revive me. And Linda's like, Lisa, you're a professional. Stop. I'm like, okay. And so there was one take where I wasn't laughing, and that's what we used. But she was hilarious.
The relationship feels really real in the movie. Yeah, it was great. Talk about the time that your mom met Linda.
She never did.
Oh, I thought she did. Oh, okay.
She
I'm sorry.
never did.
Okay.
She never did. But that actually reminds me, someone in a Q&A the other night at a screening asked me how my mom felt about the movie, which to this day is still a stress to me. And to this day, I will say to my mom, are you sure you're okay with it? Are you sure? Are you sure? As I think you can tell, I love my mom more than anything in this world. And what we went through together and what we still go through with this. I felt like I was exposing her story, but she kept saying, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. And so I just had to trust that she was fine with it. But now, knowing that Linda Lavin played her, oh, she tells everyone about the movie. You have to see the movie. Linda Lavin's wonderful.
Well, I don't want to be rude and hog all the time because I know there are a lot of questions out there. So we're going to open it up to the floor.
Thank you for your movie. I appreciate your sensitivity. Within the industry, our stories become tropes and something to just as a plot point to make it a little bit more interesting, but we feel kind of slighted by that. But I do want to appreciate that you approached it from a realistic point of view. How do you see the industry changing in that sense? I know that many of us have watched This Is Us. They've been very sensitive to the adoptee community and actually speaking our language. And again, we're very appreciative of that. But how do you see the industry changing?
Well, we'll see. My movie is the first narrative feature about this. There's been a lot of documentaries, but this is the first one. And I did it independently, so it's not like I brought it to studios and, so if it does well, like maybe there'll be more of it. I really think there will be more stories like this because it's exploding. I mean, the invention of 23andMe and the ancestry test, and then our ages and the time where like all of this fertility stuff was done in secret, and now they're all coming out generations later. I think it's wherever I go, I've been touring with the movie for over a year to different states, and every single screening, there's at least 5 or 6 people that come to me after, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to my friend. Everyone has a story. It's kind of unbelievable. So I think it's definitely going to become more mainstream.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for making the movie as well. My name is Nancy. I'm from Healing Hearts. We have a peer-to-peer Zoom group. And I'm just wondering, because we understand the importance of community and community healing. I'm wondering, how does it feel being in a giant room with people who get it?
I was telling someone before, I only flew in last night and I caught the end of Catherine's speech. And I'm like, I wish I would have known about this when I was going through this, because everything she said is how I felt. But I just kind of thought there was something wrong with me, or there was no guidance at all. I did have a therapist at the time, but she didn't know. She wasn't of this community. It's like, oh, what's the big deal? Your dad's your dad. I mean, I got that so many times. Your father loved you. What's the problem? It was so painful. And even, within my own family, my brother, he was like, my father's my father. What's wrong with you? What are you seeking? What are you looking for? So I wish I would have known about this community. I found out about just even the term NPE from that very controversial article in the New Yorker. Yeah.
We know all about that.
Which, by the way, I haven't even read because so many people sent it to me. Like, oh my God, your story. And I'm just like, I was so overwhelmed by it. I breezed through. I'm like, what the heck's an NPE? Oh my God, that's me. Like, that was the extent of it. And then I went on Facebook and I'm like, what is this NPE thing? So I typed in NPE and here you all are. I'm like, it was kind of amazing. So that was my journey into this. And I'm sure there are so many people like me who don't even know about this community. And it's so incredible and supportive. Oh gosh, some of the Zooms I did with Alicia Weiss, I was like blown away. And I'm like, I'm spilling my heart out to complete strangers, but I needed that. It's so validating.
I was just curious about I had read Danny Shapiro's book, Inheritance, and then the fact that there's so many similarities between your two stories. Did you ever talk to her, or is there any crossover?
So I was doing a podcast and they said, you should just reach out to her. This was when my movie had a theatrical premiere in October. And so I was doing all this publicity. I'm in New York. And so I'm like, screw, I'll just reach out to her. And I reached out to her on Instagram. And I'm like, I don't know if you heard about me, but I definitely heard about you. She instantly wrote me back, and then we met for coffee. And so we met, and we have a nice little friendship, but we were kind of hoping we were related because our stories are so similar. But I think her donor was from like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, someplace, and mine was from Brooklyn. And she knew her donor. I never got to meet mine. It's true in the movie. Finally, when I found out who he was, he passed away, which then I hear it's actually like I would have probably just been very heartbroken if I did meet him, maybe. So anyway, but yes, yeah, we met.
Thank you for your movie. It brought tears to my eyes. And I'm an NPE, and my mom's from the Philippines, the most Catholic country on the planet. And my 23andMe revealed that I'm half Ashkenazi Jew. Wow. And I was delighted that you chose a Filipino spouse in the movie. And I personally have been looking for 8 years for a genetic Filipino Jew. And I wondered if
my husband actually is. In real life, my husband is half Jewish and half Filipino.
I really want to talk to another Filipino Jew. It's never, I mean, honestly, I know there's one synagogue in Manila, but all the members so far are converts. Oh, and so I'm the product of a one-night stand, and I'd love to talk to your husband.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cute. I love it.
I'm just curious how audiences that don't come from this community seem to be reacting to your movie.
Well, because there's such strong Jewish themes, the movie has been embraced by the Jewish community the most. So we premiered at the Miami Jewish Film Festival last January. And there I met this festival agent, and he specializes primarily in Jewish film festivals. So that's really where I've been like all year, from this festival to that festival. But there have been a lot of just like regular, like Phoenix Film Festival. I think humor is universal. I think love is universal. That's what I was really going for. I was going for a really classic, old-fashioned type comedy that everyone can relate to. I'm finding no matter what the community is. I mean, I had a gay man, say, thank you for representing my community and the subject of found family, because I had to find my own family when I was kicked out of the house when I was 18. It's just, so that's what I was really going for. When I was originally writing the movie, it was a melodrama. It was like the worst possible Lifetime movie you can watch, because I was really just expressing the pain, the hurt, the anger, the shame, all of the things that I went through. I wrote it during the pandemic. I was sitting on my couch by myself with my dog by my side. I realized there's so much pain and sadness in this world. I don't want to add to that. I want to uplift. And how do I really feel about the story? How I really feel is I love my mother, despite how I was brought in this world or not told. I mean, there's so many ways of looking at it. She actively seeked me out to conceive me. She didn't tell me about that part, but it was with such a desire to be a mom, and she was an incredible mother. So it's so complicated. I don't know. I decided to make it a comedy because that's kind of how I see the world. And when like kind of tragic things happen, it's easier to look at it with a kind of humorous lens. So anyway, I'm hoping that anyone of any community. Oh, that's another thing I was going to say. So it became more of a unification movie for me. Instead of being so divided like our country has become, I wanted to unify in this. Because it's easy to sit home and watch the news and I'm going to hate this group and I'm going to hate this group. But then when you go to all of these cities, you're like, oh my God, we're all the same. We just want family. We just want love. Really.
So speaking of your mom and humor, the scene where it's your representation of your bat mitzvah and she gets up and she was any of that? Okay.
What is true is I did have this fear of public speaking, and definitely not as bad as the character, but I definitely had it. So that's where that came from. But yeah, that was all made up. But my mom, it's so funny. So my mom's, I think she's 85 now. She read the script and she was like, did I do that? Like, no, you didn't do that. I can't remember anymore. She could have, but she didn't.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for this wonderful movie. I am not an NPE, but I was raised modern Orthodox Jew. And let me tell you that bar mitzvah. I just wanted to say, I think what it really did here, it gives especially NPEs and even late discoveries and all of us, hope.
I did a screening in Saratoga, New York, and it was at a synagogue actually, and I was sitting next to the rabbi, and I'm like, I hope he's okay with the Yoni song at the end, which he seemed to enjoy it. But this woman came to the movie thinking it was just a Jewish comedy, and she was in tears after, and she said to me, I just found out that my father's not my father. And she was devastated. And she said, but you seem to be okay with it. Do you think I'm going to be okay? And I said, just so you know, what you're seeing happened 12 years ago. I'm 12 years into this. I went through a lot, but there's therapy, there's online groups, there's so much support out there for you. And I think I'm sure I pointed her towards all of you. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for the representation in the media. It means everything. I've been at this a long time. I took a paternity test with my dad 28 years ago, and there was nothing like all of this, and there was nothing like what you presented. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are you still finding new siblings?
Well, it got to the point, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced the same thing. At first, it was really cool. I'm like, oh, I have a second cousin twice removed. It had like every day. It's like more and more, and so confusing and so complicated that. And then I heard, the 23andMe, that they were selling the data. I don't even know. They went bankrupt. So I actually deleted 23andMe a few years ago. I'm still on Ancestry, and I am, I guess, but I'm not really actively seeking it anymore. It became overwhelming, the amount of cousins, and like, I don't know who's related to who and how much. So yeah, I don't really track it anymore. I don't know. I don't track it because it was just getting very complicated between like the biological siblings and then their children. And now I'm getting like, it was so complicated. And of course, the websites, they don't get the relationships correct a lot of times. So, and she's not a niece. She's my first cousin. It said she was just a different relation, but she's someone I grew up with as my cousin. I don't know, but it just got so I'm just like, I'm over it. They get it wrong a lot.
Hi, Lisa. Right here. I'm Lily Wood. Nice to meet you in person.
Nice
I think
to
we've
meet you.
messaged, and thank you for referencing that article. That was the controversial article. I was in that. That was a tough time.
Now I have to read it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, you don't.
Okay.
The change so after you found out that you're only half Ashkenazi Jew, I was wondering if you received any comments from people in your faith, or if sounds like not, or if people were supportive of that, or if you struggled with that change.
I think in the movie it was more of a plot point of identity, but what was the most hurtful and jarring to me was the father aspect of it, and not feeling like I'm not him, because I so identified with him and was so connected with him. Maybe I was more enmeshed with him just because I just thought the world of him. Yeah, the Jewish thing, it validated for me why my whole life people would just come up to me and say, "You don't look Jewish." And what's really sad about that is there are a lot of blonde, blue-eyed Jewish people, but what's represented in the media is so stereotypical that if you're going to be a Jewish character, you have to have dark hair and dark eyes. And even, it's always made me so mad, even like some major television shows about a Jewish woman, I'm not going to mention names, but the lead actress is not Jewish. And it's made me angry my whole life, because my whole life I couldn't play a Jewish character. And I would say, but I'm actually Jewish. Yeah, but no, we're going to go with the Italian girl to play Jewish. So that just felt like perpetuating stereotypes. So the fact that me and Linda had light hair, my sister character, she has blonde hair, that was all very intentional to represent, like, Jewish people look like everyone else.
Hi, I'm Melissa over here, and I am a supporting partner to my husband. I too hope to not be a grandmother, but to be a Lola. So I really, really appreciated that little tidbit. But as a supporting partner, I'm wondering how your husband's perception has evolved on the journey.
Well, like represented in the movie, my husband was so supportive from the second it happened. My husband's very funny, and he was quoting Saturday Night Live, 1970s-ish. As soon as it happened, without skipping a beat, he turns to my mother and he says, "Gloria, you slut." Yeah, he's just been so steadfast and supportive of this whole thing. He's so happy that I'm here. He's so happy that I found you guys. Yeah, just anything that makes me feel better, makes him happy.
All right. Well, Lisa, again, thank you for this beautiful movie. I hope there are more stories. I hope you get inspiration, because as you know, we need more representation out there. So you get another idea, pen to paper.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, there could totally be a part 2 of this. Like my younger daughter said, "Well, what if it's my bat mitzvah this time?"
That was our live conversation with Lisa Brenner from Untangling Our Roots. If you felt the shift in the room during that Q&A, that's exactly what this community does. People walk in carrying questions, confusion, sometimes years of silence, and then something clicks when they realize they're not the only one. That's why we do this. To take these stories out of rooms like that and put them into the world, so the next person going through it doesn't feel like they're figuring it out alone. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you've got a story of your own, you already know we want to hear it. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time. And remember, family secrets are the ultimate plot twist. The Family Twist podcast is presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications and produced by Mosaic Multimedia.